You ready for this deal, Jimbo?
Fire in the hole.
Old stories like long lost friends, rodeos and late night bends, history before our time, round pens and pasture rides, cowboys of the Osage.
Howdy, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage podcast, brought to you by the Ben Johson Cowboy Museum, located in historic downtown Pawhuska, Oklahoma. Hey, it's Cody over here, and as always, I have my main man with me, Mr. Rodeo Historian himself, Jimbo Lively. Good morning, Jimbo. Good to see you. What the heck do we got going on today?
Hey, Cody boy, it's just another great day in the Osage, and wow, what a weekend. You know, we just finished up. We had the big Ben Johson days. We had the ranch rodeo, the junior ranch rodeo, the women's ranch rodeo, and finished up with the dummy roping and the wild cow milking and the famous Ben Johson Memorial Steer Roping. What a weekend.
Wow, it was.
And it looked like just a tremendous success to me. Of course, you were on the business end of it. Was it a success, or are we going to have it again? Or?
Oh, yeah, we're going to make it bigger and better for next year. I've already started work on it, Jimbo.
I know it. I've already heard some of the new ideas, and it's going to be, but it just gets bigger and better every year. I just can't believe it. All the people that came to town for the Ben Johson days.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. We had people from every corner of the United States. They made their track here, and they loved it, Jimbo. Everybody just loved it and had a great time during Ben Johson days this year.
Oh, I believe it. I was here at the museum there a couple of days before the weekend started, and there was already people coming to town from God knows where, wanting to go to the parties and stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah, speaking of parties. Did you make it over there to that Artisans of the West party?
No, I didn't.
I know you're having to feed the chickens that night, probably.
Well, I got to put them up. Coons will get them if you don't.
Yeah. I tell you what, it was a heck of a party. They had a draw, you know, and I think it was a sold-out event. Huge chuck wagon dinner went right along with it. You know, they had some of the very best in the world. Guys from all the way in Argentina brought their wares here to show at the Artisans of the West, Ben Johson Days Artisans of the West show and sale. It was really spectacular, Jimbo.
Well, it is. Just the setting down there in that old Constantine Theater is just worth going to it just to see that theater, the way they've redone it. And it's about the oldest running theater in Oklahoma, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it might be possibly the oldest continuously ran theater in the state of Oklahoma. It's the second oldest theater in Oklahoma. I know that.
Well, it's beautiful.
It's great. You know, they had the guys from Argentina there. They had the bit and spur makers there. They had the saddle makers there. They had the chuck wagon. They had the drinks rolling.
Oh, it looked like a big time, for sure.
And it ran all week. People were able to enjoy the exhibition and sale all week long right there.
Yeah, they can just come and go, can't they, during the week?
Oh, yeah. And it was pretty neat. They brought that chuck wagon in, and, you know, they got fireboxes now, Jimbo, that can sit right on top of the street, and they can have a chuck wagon cook-off just about anywhere now. They don't even have to dig a hole to cook in. Can you believe it?
Who brought that this year?
I don't know where they drove that chuck wagon in from, but they knew what they were doing.
Man.
It was delicious meal fajitas.
Oh, everything tastes good like that.
Oh, yeah, you can't beat fajitas anyway. They're pretty hard to mess up.
Right.
Made with this good Osage County beef. It was pretty darn good.
Yep.
That was the first event of the week. It got the week kicked off. And I tell you what a way to kick the week off right there, Jimbo. It was just an unbelievable evening.
And, you know, you got lucky this year. The weather was just perfect. I mean, we had a little storm there Saturday night, but it was a beautiful weekend of weather.
Yeah, that storm just helped cool it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit of cloud cover for the rest of the weekend. I mean, you could not ask for better weather right here in the middle of June.
You couldn't have drew it up any better.
There's been a few times I thought I was going to melt out there.
Oh, I know.
Not this year.
No.
Holy moly.
Best weather that I can really remember, and I've been to a bunch of them.
All them old timers were really smiling down on us this weekend.
Right.
I feel
Sure
like,
were.
Jimbo. Anyway, the next party was Thursday night. I attended it. The Uncorked party thrown by the Pawhuska Chamber of Commerce. It was just an amazing party, Jimbo.
That, they had some artwork out there too, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they had it at the big, right there in the big. Sorry, someone's trying to call me here, Jimbo.
Oh, you're busy, man.
They had it right there in the big ag building, right there at the fairgrounds.
Right.
Right there at the fairgrounds.
Right. The
And,
one I intended was here on Main Street that time.
Yeah, they used to have it at the Chamber of Commerce
Right.
and have it in a tent there, and they really outgrew it having it there. And then they had it at Reeves Mercantile, and they outgrew it having it there because, it looks like close to 1,000 people attend that event.
This thing just keeps getting bigger. Where's it going?
All the way to the top, Jimbo. This is going to be probably right behind Cheyenne Frontier Days is number 2 Western celebration in America. Then we're going to be nipping right at their heels.
I like the way you think.
Anyway, you were talking about that art. They invite artists from all over the world, painters, not all over the world, all over the state.
Right.
All over the state. I was kind of blowing it out of proportion
Well, we
there.
are the world here.
Yeah.
The way we think of ourselves.
Yeah, they invite artists from all over the state, painters, sculptors, jewelry makers. It was just an unbelievable evening, Jimbo. And, they had some good tri-tip steaks for us. And
They have the best food at that thing.
Uncorked, they had the wine rolling too, Jimbo.
That's how it got its name, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I drank a big old deal of water the next morning and got drunk all over again. That's how that wine does you.
Oh, man.
It snuck up on you. And then
Yeah.
it snuck up on me the next day when I got thirsty from sweating.
Wow.
It was really something. Then that next morning, you wouldn't believe the trade show people rolling in for the trade show that goes right along with the ranch rodeo there, Jimbo.
I walked up there Saturday night, and there were a bunch of them outside. They didn't even have room for them all inside.
We sold out the inside floor of the trade show and had overflow outside, several booths outside. It was
Right.
crazy.
Right. What was that one guy, Cactus Jack? Was that his name?
Cactus Jack, he had that old 1936 school bus out there with the
Oh,
big
yeah.
horns on it.
That was cool looking. I'm
Yeah.
surprised you didn't try to deal him out of that.
I did. He wouldn't part with it, Jimbo. He said him and his dad built that thing a long time ago.
Wow.
Couldn't put a price on the sentimental value.
No.
I sure tried, though, awful hard.
I bet you did.
I sure tried awful hard. I would have liked to had me one of those. But that John Israel Cowboy Trade Show we had in conjunction with the Ranch Rodeo, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every year. I think the first year we started off with about 30 vendors. Last year we had about 40 vendors. This year we're right at 70 vendors, Jimbo.
And I heard you say that you might make a little more room where you'd even have more vendors next year.
Yeah, I think we're going to shorten the arena up and make the trade show floor just a tad bit bigger and bring some more people in to sell their wares. It was just absolutely unbelievable. We had guys from the National Bit and Spur and Saddle Collectors Association. A slew of those old guys were there with all their old collectible bits and spurs and saddles and a lot of good using stuff too, the old stuff that's hard to find. And, we had hat makers there. We had boot makers there. We had buckle makers there. We had painters there. We had people selling jewelry there, saddle makers there, you name it, at the John Israel Cowboy Trade Show. It was just an unbelievable trade show. And a local girl, we put her in charge of it right here. Her name's Molly Lawson. She just really did a jam-up job with it, and I tip my hat to her. It was a great trade show. No matter where you're at, it would have competed with anybody's trade show, Jimbo.
Yeah, and maybe the best part about it, John Israel, the namesake, he was sitting right there greeting people. You could go by and shake John's hand, visit with him. And Alan Keller was there. I mean, we had quite a deal going there.
John, if you know John, any at all, he had his signature vehicle in there, his car with his trailer hooked on it, sitting right there, a whole little camp set up. His family came in for it, and, he was right at the front door. You couldn't miss him. If you walked in, if you know who he was,
Right.
He was there greeting everybody, and he was just so happy to see everybody, and he was very overwhelmed by the amount of vendors there. And a lot of the people, they come just because it's in his honor, because he's such a great man, such a well-loved and well-liked man,
He's a living legend.
No doubt about it.
For sure.
I expect him to go down as a great Westerner in that Cowboy Hall of Fame someday.
Right. He
Jimbo.
should, for sure.
Great guy.
He's a Hall of Famer to us, that's for sure.
You know, I hate to take any I hate to break away from the trade show and the rodeo and stuff, but you know, that guy's pretty historic himself. He grew up on that Lowry Ranch with Fred Lowry, one of the guys that just really reinvented the sport of steer roping, kind of took it into this modern era that we have now. And he lived there with the great Shote Webster. That's where he grew up at. So,
right.
you know, John Israel's seen and he's done a lot, and he knows what he's talking about on something too.
Oh, sure. Well, like I say, he's just a legend. That's all I can say about him.
Such a peaceful man and a horse lover on top of it.
Yeah, couldn't be a nicer, easier going guy than John Israel.
Never heard a bad word said about him.
Nope.
From anybody.
And he won't say a bad word about anybody either, you know.
I've never even heard him say a bad word before.
No. I don't think he knows any.
I know. He's hanging out with Ellen Keller. He's heard a few bad words.
He might learn some new tricks.
But he dang sure ain't saying any of them.
No.
Also going on the same weekend, Jimbo, was the 89th annual Osage County Cattlemen's Association Convention and Luncheon.
And I heard they had over 100 cars on that tour.
This ain't even the tour. I'm talking about the luncheon.
I know it.
Yeah, there was almost 1,000 people at that luncheon, Jimbo.
But they had a heck of a turnout.
They did. You know, they look into it. They get it. With the price of your admission, you get a big steak dinner with it. You learn all about the cattle industry around here, how it pertains to us. And they've been having that deal for 89 years. So that's really saying something. That's one of the longest probably conventions going on in the state of Oklahoma.
They came right pretty close to my house. Actually, they went to the Brad Fuller Ranch here behind Pershing, and then the Chuck Hall Ranch, and finished up on what a lot of the locals know as the old Blanton Ranch, which is now.
Well, you're talking about the ranch tour. I'm still on the convention and luncheon.
I jumped ahead of it.
We ain't even got to the ranch tour yet. Let's go ahead and jump. It was Saturday morning. 100
plus cars.
We'll go back to Friday night here in a little bit. Yeah. Over 100 cars on the ranch tour. What is the ranch tour, Jimbo?
Well, it started out, of people showing their cattle to buyers. You know, they'd travel around to these different ranches, and they'd kind of get them gathered up near the fence or the corrals or whatever, where people could see them. And it's just grown from that every year. And this year, like I say, they went plumb out almost to Gray Horse and made a big circle back down by Homney and the Bufords and all that bunch and out to Pershing. And
they went by the Barquet where they had the Delbert Kyler roping.
Yeah.
I heard that a bunch of ropers were running late for the roping. They couldn't get up there because of the ranch tour was so darn big. They were just taking their time, tooling it up, not making a bunch of dust driving down the dirt roads.
Right.
And ropers were trying to get there. I heard it got a little hairy right around the Barquet during the ranch tour.
They might have to plan that different next year.
Yeah, that I guess that'd be the only thing was if a roper missed the roping on the ranch tour. But hey, you got to plan accordingly when you go to a rodeo or a roping. Get there early.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
But it was a big deal. They finished up there at the Blanton Ranch, which is Gantner Drummond now, and had a big barbecue and stuff.
I heard it was a heck of a good time. And
I did too.
Our buddy with the bus with the horns on it, he took it through the ranch tour with a
Really?
Yeah, loaded up a bunch of local folks and drove them all through it.
Wow, I bet that's neat.
So what you're trying to tell me, let me get this straight. Originally, this ranch tour was started to market the cattle around here. They'd tour through all the ranches, kind of have a tour, and they would take their cattle up by the fence and show them what kind of stock they were working with.
Right.
And the buyers, they'd take in wine and dine them afterwards and try to sell them cattle.
Yeah, or buy them right there. If there's several buyers there, you might get a little bidding deal going.
Might get a deal going right there.
Yeah, right.
We actually got a great big, huge picture that came out of an old cafe, Brown's Old Cafe here in town. And it hung up there real high. And it's of an old ranch tour here from probably back in the 40s, Jimbo. I guess that's the era of those cars in that. And it shows them. They have all the cattle pushed up in the corner right there by the road. And, there's hundreds of cars going by it. So
I know. It's quite a tradition here in Osage County.
Yeah, it's almost seeming like, we're just showing off what we have around here now, rather than being a cattle buying ranch tour.
Yeah.
But I bet there's still some cattle traded hands right on that tour.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
just to this day.
You know, we've got the best grass in the United States, you know, the strongest blue stem grass, and fattens, makes some of the best cattle because of that. So,
Yeah, they got some great sprawling ranches around here.
big ranches.
Big ranch and just some really, really famous old
Oh,
ranches,
yeah,
too.
it's historic ranches.
You know, a lot of them's been in the same family for over 100 years, and that's
Yep.
really saying something.
It really is.
It really is. And, you know, a lot of the old original families, they're all still here.
I know it. Just handed down. They keep the tradition going. It's amazing.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. And it's not always easy, and you don't always have good years like they're having right now. They're doing pretty good with the cattle prices today, but you know, you have ebbs and flows, and sometimes it's a grind just to make it. You know.
Let's talk about this ranch rodeo we had. Boy, howdy, Jimbo. It was one for the books, one of the biggest ones yet.
Well, I went Saturday night, and I guarantee it was the most people I've ever seen in that building.
Yeah, I don't even know how many people, because I think we didn't think about the gate back by the sheriff's office. Between the track and the sheriff's office, that lot was full, and people could just walk right in right there, Jimbo. We didn't even think about that part.
Well, they probably put a tip in the tip jar, sure.
Yeah, surely. Surely they did. Surely they did.
And you know, you think that old building might be kind of hot, but they've got these biggest old fans in that sucker, and you can just feel the breeze when you're sitting there, you know.
You know what the name of that fan company is, Jimbo? You're going to laugh when I tell
Well,
you.
I've got an idea what is it.
It's called Big Ass Fans. That's the name of it. It's a fan company.
They are.
They put them in indoor arenas all over the United States. And they really do cool it off in there.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, it was 90 degrees outside.
I know it.
And
Those fans blow your hat off.
dang near, won't they?
Yeah.
Dang near. You know, the Ranch Rodeo this year had a waiting list and had a purse of over $50,000, Jimbo.
I couldn't believe when I saw what those checks were for first place there Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. So I think first place paid nearly $11,000. Second place paid nearly $9,000.
That's
Probably
amazing.
7 and 5. I don't know if it followed.
It
to the
paid
same
as good
course.
as the steer open.
I think it might have paid better than the steer open
That's
this year.
amazing. You know, for a ranch rodeo, you don't think of it as a big payday like that, but it was.
Plus a ticket punch. Plus a team punched their ticket to go to the World Championships in Amarillo, the Lonesome Pine Ranch out of Cedar Point, Kansas. Congratulations to those boys.
They'll have gas money to get down there for sure.
But nipping at their tail, second place was Drummond Land and Cattle. Dang it, they were close to punching their ticket to Amarillo. I was hoping one of our local teams would get in there, Jimbo.
I know what I was pulling for, but I honestly don't know enough about it to even know how they keep score in that.
Yeah, there's a lot of ins and outs. That's the reason we hire the good judges, Jimbo.
Right.
We hire the actual judges they use at the World Championship in Amarillo. So
Yeah, this wasn't no rinky-dink deal.
no, it was a big deal for a ranch rodeo. Paid about $11,000 to win. If they won any of the events, I think they were like $3,000 an event to win. So it adds up quick.
And they had that junior bronc riding, you know, their Saturday night.
Oh yeah, we kicked both nights off with the junior ranch bronc ride, and that was our first event.
Those horses were ranker than the PRCA, I believe.
I think so too.
Those poor little kids, boy, they carried a couple of them out. But, boy, they were gamers, though. They were ready to do it again.
I think 3 or 4 of them rode the first night, and then one of them rode the second night. Them little ponies got a lot ranker.
They were getting it.
Holy moly. And, you know, I'm not going to be surprised if we have a major bronc rider come out of this junior ranch bronc that we have right here, because a couple of them boys can really handle it.
Right. And, you know, there's some more wanting to be that are going to be working on it. They're going to want to play next year.
The boy that won it's only 10 years old, Jimbo. And he rode 2 rank little ponies.
I know it. It's crazy.
It was pretty wild. That second night, there was some little kids limping around there for the rest of the night.
I know. They were helping them out of the arena, but they're tough little boogers.
But every one of them limping around, they had a line of 20 kids behind them. They were definitely the heroes of all the kids out there at the ranch rodeo.
Oh, they were the heroes, and they were rock stars, and they healed up in time to get those prizes there at the end, too.
Oh, yeah. Everybody is patting them on the back, telling them what a good job they've done. Good ride.
Right.
Tough luck, cowboy, if they got bucked off. It was just great. And, you know, I love giving, you know, our younger kids a chance to come up because, honestly, who's going to be riding them in the open bronc riding, Jimbo, if we don't foster these kids coming up a place to learn and get in front of a crowd and get on some broncs, you know?
And I wonder how many kids were sitting in the stands that night that thought that they wanted to do it next year, you know, or are going to get attracted to the sport just because of that.
Well, you never know.
I know.
You never know. And I look for big things out of some of these boys, and I hope some more keep coming up that want to do their junior ranch bronc riding around here.
Wow, this isn't just rodeo capital of the world. Steer roping capital of the world. It's cowboy capital of the world too, I believe.
It for sure is. And let's just go right into our junior WRCA ranch rodeo. The kid, Braxton Zebel, the 10-year-old I was telling you about, the one that won it, his team going for broke. They also punched a ticket to the Junior Ranch Rodeo World Championships in Amarillo.
What a thrill that's got to be.
You know, that kid had him a big old weekend, Braxton.
Oh, I bet that hat just barely fit his head.
You know it. And we're sure proud of him, and he sure did a good job along with the rest of his team. The Carneys were in on that team, and I think that Wilder Davis kid was in there. He's also a good little bronc rider.
And that's got to be a crowd favorite, too, to watch those kids get out there and compete like that.
Well, it is me, and like I said, I just want to keep young cowboys coming up so we can keep having this ranch rodeo year in and year out, or this, you know, steer roping or anything, Jimbo, because if we don't have kids coming up to do it,
right,
who's going to do it?
Nobody.
You were too old and crippled to even think about it.
We don't want them Wyoming and Utah and all them bunches just dominate it.
No, we got to get these Okies.
Right.
We got to get these Okies back in the deal.
Can't all be steer rovers.
Boy, howdy. We had a Calcutta for the ranch rodeo, and I took a bid, and I did something to my vocal cords there, so I don't know if you can hear it a little bit in me, Jimbo. I somehow lost my voice just taking bids in the Calcutta during the ranch rodeo.
I know it. You called me the next morning. You were really bad, but you're a lot better now.
Yeah, I'm back on the mend now.
You're not 100%, but you're getting close.
You know what else we also had, Jimbo? Women's ranch rodeo action. It was a heck of a good women's ranch rodeo. They got that sucker done in less than 2 hours.
How'd their girl Gagan do?
She said they had it won and ended up winning, going out of the average on their last event. Something happened to her.
Yeah. Wow. I noticed she was there helping her in the ranch rodeo there Saturday night, riding around out there.
Was she?
Yeah.
Well, she's a hand. She may have been on a team. She may have been on one of the WRCA
I don't think so.
teams.
She just looked like she was just helping.
But, yep, we had a women's ranch rodeo. It ran off great. And, you know, we also hold the women's ranch rodeo national finals right here in Pawhuska. I think it's the second or third week in October every year.
I know it.
So be
That's
sure.
really a big deal.
Check our schedule for that if you want to come. It's coming up this October sometime. Right. And it's a heck of a deal.
Right.
We're crowning a world champion right here in Pawhuska. Women's Ranch Rodeo
Won't be
world
the first
champion.
time. We're the home of the champions.
That's right. That's right. And then Saturday night, we're not even done with Saturday yet. It was such a big weekend. So much happened. Right when that rodeo kicked off, we kicked up the Tulsa Playboys. And man, what a show did they put on.
Boy, they sound good. You know, our old friend Rodney Lay, he was there playing bass. And, you know, they had some lady singing. I never did catch her name, but boy, she sounded good too with them.
Oh, yeah. Our old buddy Ray Bingham, he said, the boys are looking good tonight.
Right.
And every one of them was about 79 or 80.
Right.
So.
But, well, they can still play.
Oh, yeah. They hadn't forgot.
And what amazed me, Cody, was the little bitty kids running around out there dancing to that music.
Yep. I loved it that we kept it traditional. We took it all back traditional. These guys, all they played was, you know, all the old Bob Wills favorites and from that era, too. You know,
Did they play Milk Cow Blues?
Nah, I think so.
Because we were wanting to wait around, but I had to put the chickens up again. So.
Well, it's a good thing you did because we were right on the edge of a huge storm.
It went storm just as soon as I got home, so I didn't get to hear it all, but it was great.
Can you believe that storm? Well, all we got was a little wind here, and it blew some rain off of it because the wind was blowing so hard. But just south of us, they still don't have electricity. They're not supposed to have it till the end of the week or first of next week.
I know it. It's crazy.
About the whole town of Tulsa.
Heat too. That's hard on people. You know that's really a bad deal.
They run out of gas down there.
They were out of gas at Quick Trip in Barnesville there for a while. That North Quick Trip.
Well, I think they're coming to Pawhuska. There was a line all the way around Formby's yesterday.
Right.
Holy moly. They've run plumb out of gas in Tulsa. They ain't got no electricity.
Well,
They're back to the pioneer times in Tulsa.
I know it. Boy, this is a tough time of year to be roughing it.
There's no Teslas driving around there today.
These people today aren't tough enough to go without air conditioner, I don't think.
Well, I ain't either. Holy moly.
I know it.
It's 95 degrees and 95% humidity out there, Jimbo.
Our ancestors, they opened the window, and if they were lucky enough, they had a fan to stick in the window and suck in some cool air at night. But
That's the reason most people growing up, no one spent much time in the house, Jimbo.
yeah, I know
There
it.
was a lot of outside chores to be done
Yeah, those houses were hot.
in the breeze and in the shade somewhere.
Right.
But don't stick around that house.
Nope.
Holy moly, unless you have a dugout.
And them old pioneer women, you had to cook in those houses and stuff. Can you imagine?
I'd be grilling or something.
It's tough.
You think they'd be grilling
They
outside?
didn't do that. They didn't have charcoalers and stuff back then. Those women stood over them old cook stoves and baked that bread and made all that stuff. And just
I'd have
tough.
been Dutch ovening it.
Yeah, it's a tough life. They didn't know any better, though, I guess.
That's what they're doing down in Tulsa. They're going back to the pioneer days.
Yeah, I don't know.
Woo! I don't even know why I think that's so funny, Jimbo. I'm sorry. God be with everybody in Tulsa for
Right,
sure. It's a bad deal for them. It's not
It
funny,
really is tough.
but sometimes cowboys laugh at the weirdest things.
Yep.
And then Sunday, Jimbo. The cherry on the Sunday.
First, talk about you opened the museum up, free admission Sunday morning from 9 to 12, and it was packed.
Yeah, they all came in here to see you,
No,
Jimbo.
they didn't come to see me, but there was a lot of people here.
Jimbo made his first personal appearance. He had a line of folks wanting to talk to him about the podcast.
And we did have a lot of podcast fans, and we really appreciate them coming by.
Oh yeah, we had them. We had podcast fans from Iowa, and I mean they were from all over.
Kansas, Texas, all, like you said, all over. And they'd tell me things about the podcast that I didn't even know. I forgot,
Here the other day, remember that one guy told you his favorite podcast was one you weren't even on, and he didn't know you weren't on.
I know it. But
The Terry Post Tract one.
yeah, I know it. That's one I missed. But they were great. We love our fans, that's for sure.
Well, it's
Glad
just
to know we
nice to
got
know
2 or
that a few
3.
people appreciate what we
Yeah,
do, Jimbo.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
not just talking to ourselves. here.
Right, I know.
At least 10 people like us,
At
Jimbo.
least 10.
At least 10. Yep. We wanted everyone to get in here, get a feel for what the roping was about, get a feel for our area and some of the great people from the area. And, you can learn all the history on the roping, talk to you about it, and just go in there knowing all the history when you come to watch the roping on Sunday.
Right, I know it. It was great. That was a good idea. We'll have to do that again next year.
Who came in the furthest that you remember on that Sunday morning?
There was a guy from, I think, South Dakota.
Oh, yeah, I met him.
Yeah.
I met him. He was a big podcast
A lot
fan.
of Texas people, Western Oklahoma, Kansas. Larry Haley from Buffalo, Kansas. I thought he said was Buffalo, Oklahoma. He said, no, Kansas. He said, I watch them every week and said, and all of Buffalo does too. Everybody in Buffalo too.
All 6 of them.
Yeah. Well, you didn't have to say that.
Oh, I know. We love Buffalo, Kansas. Yeah, that's a good little community. And I know Larry Haley. He's a good old
I
guy.
know it. And I just met him, and he was, and I sat with him at the rope, and he's a nice guy.
I know. Ain't a nicer guy.
Nope.
Actually. He tried to give me his Western Horseman collection here a while back.
Really?
Here a while back, I bought like 30 Longhorn skulls from him. Big ones, too.
Right.
And I put them all in the back of the Suburban with me.
Well, where are they at now?
Oh, I drove them to Gallup, New Mexico, and sold them to a guy. He's supposed to save me 4 or 5 of them back, but I hadn't seen my 4 or 5.
Yeah.
He's going to put turquoise all over them. And
Oh, cool.
I think he ran off with the ones I gave him.
Well,
One of those deals. You
Yeah,
live and
that's
learn. I
what
learn
it
a lot of hard lessons sometimes, Jimbo.
Right.
And then at 11 o'clock that morning, after you got, why you had the museum open, we were out there dummy roping, Jimbo.
right. I know it.
You wouldn't believe how many dummy ropers we had this year. Like 50 dummy ropers or better.
So it's growing just like everything else.
Well, I don't know if it's growing, but it sure looked like it was bigger than normal to me.
Right.
And It
Now,
was
do the
great.
girls, do they do separate, or are they just right in there with the boys?
We just run everybody together.
Right.
That's something to think about next year. But we run everybody together, and I did a little bit different format this year. Normally, we go ahead and finish the whole dummy roping, 11 o'clock in the morning, and we bring the winners out, give them their prizes in the arena. This year, I stopped it when there was 2 or 3 dummy ropers. It just depends how it landed. And we made them match it out in the middle of the big arena, Jimbo.
Right. And that had to be a thrill for them little guys, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And they roped good. I thought they might get the bucks a little bit in front of all those people. They roped good.
Yep. Every one of them roped good, and I was sure proud of each and every one of those kids. And, you know,
One of those winners he'd get a big old loop and just throw an old slosher out there, and he'd curl figure eight around him every time. He had a good lick.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that one kid, he had the most interesting loop I've ever seen and caught the majority of the ones he threw at, too. So, might be something I might try one of these days, Jimbo. It worked for him.
He sure did.
Might work for me.
Right.
That little deal he did, it sure opened it up at the end. It's something you don't see every single day, for sure. We made those kids match it out in the big pen in front of everybody, and then when we crowned the champions, I made them hold their winnings up to the big arena, to the big grandstands, and you know, it sounded like a pretty big roar all the way across to those kids.
Had to be a thrill. Had to be.
And it was to their parents too, and everybody else in attendance. You know, it was good
how many
watching.
little kids up there in the audience thinking they're going to do that next year? You know.
Yep.
And have a chance for that.
That's right. And they
That's a
just
good
did
move,
good.
Bringing them out there in the arena like that.
Well, we had to bring up the pressure a little bit, bring up the prestige a little bit,
Right.
match it out, sudden death style.
Right.
I liked it.
I did too. And then when they tied, you'd draw the line back a little bit further, keep getting further away until it finally got too far away from one of them.
One of those kids was last year's champion, and Chet Herron's kid.
Yeah, he's a roping dude.
Yep. You can tell. I just like seeing these multi-generational ropers coming up, you know.
Oh yeah, keep the sport growing.
You know, there were several, including Chet himself, there were several guys at that roping on Sunday. One of the first ropings they ever entered was that dummy roping right at the Ben Johson steer roping.
Really?
Yes, sir. They've been having that for quite some time. And there's been a lot of guys, Riley O'Rourke. There's been a slew of guys that was the first roping they ever entered. Now they're actually roping in the big roping at the place where they're roping in the dummy roping. So I really like to see that, Jimbo.
Oh yeah, you bet. That's great. I loved it.
And most of them are multi-generational cowboys. You know, these ropers kids are just coming up and taking after their dads, boys, girls, and all of them.
Yeah, it's a great sport.
High noon, we had the Calcutta, and boy, howdy, it was a big one.
That's what I heard.
There was more money in the Calcutta this year than there was the roping, Jimbo. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I'm glad to see it coming back like that. It used to be that way back in the 60s, you know, and stuff, big Calcuttas. And glad to hear that it's coming back a little.
If you don't know what one is, just come and play in one, and you'll find out real
Right.
quick. No, it's a way to get involved and cheer on a roper. It's
Right.
real fun.
Yeah.
But it was the biggest one they've had in several years, Jimbo, and we had a lot of people playing in it, and we appreciate them all too.
You bet.
Appreciate everybody that took the time to come and play in that Calcutta.
You bet. Who had that boy that won all them go-arounds?
I don't know.
All around, tied
Wasn't
the
me.
fastest steer. That's
You know,
the one I wanted.
that person, I figured it up. They won well over $10,000, Jimbo.
Wow. Yeah, he placed in all 3 rounds, won the short goal, won the third go-around, the fastest steer of the day.
Just went out of the average on one of them.
Yeah, I know.
Can you imagine if he wouldn't have went out of the average on that one?
Well, he might not have tied those others fast, though, then either.
Well, you never know.
Never know.
And then at 1 o'clock, Jimbo, the big 69th annual Ben Johson Memorial Steer Roping.
Cody, I like the way you had them line up out in the arena, too. That was old style. And that's the way I remember it as a kid, and the way we did it the few times I roped in it, and it just looked good lined up out there.
Oh yeah,
The flag on each end.
we got a good picture of it. You know, we just wanted to do it just like the first one, Jimbo.
Who are those flag girls, by the way?
Yeah, I'm real proud of the flag girls. It was Daisy and Ellie, my little girls.
They did a great job.
And they made the whole little routine up and everything. They did a
Really?
good job. Yes,
Yeah, they did do a good job.
it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Then they did it for the ranch rodeo too.
Right.
we had a couple boys do it the first night. They didn't have a routine or nothing. They didn't even know what they were doing. So we had to bring out the big guns for the rest of the week.
Absolutely.
And, you know, what'd you think about the roping, Jimbo?
It was good. It was the best crowd, Cody, I've seen in a long time. It really was. The bleachers on the east side were full. I mean, just packed. And the grandstand on the other side was almost full. And then back north from the grandstand, tents just way almost down to the end of the arena. On the east side, tents and trailers backed up with awnings from the buck and shoot all the way down. You know, it just reminded me of the old days a little bit. And it was good roping, good long score. Cattle were good. It was just and weather, like I say, it was the most pleasant Ben Johson steer roping I can remember in a long time. The humidity was down. That storm had come through, and it just kind of cooled everything off. The humidity wasn't bad. It was just a perfect day.
There's a lot to live up to after this year,
I know,
Jimbo.
I know.
Right down to the weather. It couldn't have been any more beautiful.
I know.
You
did a great job on that, Cody. It was a great show.
And we really got lucky on the weather. All them storms blew around us. We didn't have to deal with any of them. So
Right. And the wild cow milking was great. You know, I thought that really. What was the deal about the boy didn't have a bottle with him?
Well,
And he ran the farthest too.
Yeah, the very first team backed in the box, and they nodded for their cow before they got their bottle and left. Anyway, they ran that cow all the way to the back of the arena, 585 feet to the back, and he got down there and didn't have a bottle. He went ahead and milked her in his mouth and ran 585 feet all the way back. Got there. We had to give him a no time, and he wasn't real happy. He wanted to be mad at me at first because he didn't have his wild cow milking bottle and this and that. And I told him, I said, well, it's about like one of these steer ropers backing up in the box without their picking strings.
Same difference.
I can't make sure you have your equipment for you. And then he got to thinking about it. Came and apologized to me after a while.
Well, good.
That was a long run.
Oh, it was a heck of a run.
And they were playing the music, dun, 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 or something like that.
Yeah, that was great.
It was
then you kind of threw a ringer on us there between the third and the short go. And, you know, I thought I was pretty close to the situation, knew about everything that was going to happen. And dadgum, the one-armed bandit didn't show up.
Yeah, it was a secret surprise for everybody. The bandit, we wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it, so we didn't advertise him being there. But he called me. He drove all night to get back from wherever he was across the United States. He was in North Carolina. I don't even know, somewhere quite a ways away. And he drove all night, got home at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, called me 8 o'clock in the morning, wanted to know if I wanted to be there. And I said, get on over here. And it was just a great surprise for everybody. And what a show he put on.
Oh, yeah.
Holy moly. What about his grandson coming in the arena?
Coming out with that old bucking mule, you know, him popping that whip. And that was great. And then turned them 3 big old Watusis out. And his daughter come pulling in that big rig and that long trailer with the ramp on it. It was just, of course, we knew he puts on a good show. But for those that hadn't seen it, it's just a great show.
And there was only one experienced show animal in that show on Sunday, and the rest, a couple others, you know, they hadn't been in a whole lot of shows. Really? So it went a little better than they were anticipating it.
Yeah, it was great. And a surprise, you know, and I think that's what really was good about it. Nobody was expecting it.
Oh, yeah. It was great. Anytime I get a chance to watch the One-Armed Bandit, I'm going to, for sure.
The best.
It's the best, most original, top of the line Wild West show act there is going.
Yeah, and justly awarded. I mean, you know, how many times he won the Act of the Year?
15 times PRCA Dress Act of the Year, Specialty Act of the Year.
So we're not the only one that likes him.
We're pretty partial to him, though.
Right.
But holy moly, did you see him ride out on his horse? And he was really showing up how good his horse rides to everybody. Mm-hmm. But what everybody didn't realize, he only has one arm.
Yeah.
And that other arm had a bullwhip or something in its hand. He wasn't touching the reins.
And that horse was watching. You know, horses can see behind them better than any animal I know. And he was watching that guy's arm, whichever way he'd point, while that horse would turn that way. You know, it's amazing.
In case you hadn't been here, me and Jimbo were coming from the lobby of the Ben Johson Cowboy Museum, and right here where we sell the books and people take their picture on the buffalo, and we got all the great cowboy art for sale by the greatest cowboy artisans in the world. if you hadn't been here. If you wondered what's going on with all the commotion, we're just here in the lobby.
Yeah, just another day at the Ben Johson Cowboy Museum.
That's right. It's good to see people actually walking around in the lobby
you
during
bet.
the
Absolutely.
podcast,
Love it.
Jimbo. Let's get back to the steer roping. We had the bandit. We had the dummy roping. We had the Calcutta. We had a great steer roping. The winners. Dark horse. I'm going to call him a dark horse.
Right.
Clay Long.
Clay Long, he put it on him. He had a time of, he was 18 on his first one, then 12:07, 12.7, and 15:27, 58.1 on 4.
Well, that's just a good
solid
average.
Solid roping, you know.
Just a good solid roping.
Right.
Second, Cody Lee.
Cody Lee, our old friend Cody Lee.
One of the veterans.
One of the veterans. He was 64.6 on 4.
He's done won it 2 or 3 other times, Jimbo.
Yeah, I think he has.
Cody Lee. Is it 3?
I don't know. I'd have to go
Is
back
he a
and look at it.
3-time champion?
He might be, but
might be.
at least twice.
I think he won it 2 years in a row one time, maybe won it one other time. I'm not sure.
But
He has one of the winningest records at the Ben Johson, period.
right.
Whether it's just winning checks or winning first.
Right.
It'd be interesting to go back and see how many averages he's placed in.
And then the great 4-time world champion, Rocky Patterson, won 3rd.
One of the greatest there's ever been,
One of the
Jimbo.
best ever been. And,
You know?
and you know, he's well up in his 50s. I don't know exactly how old he is, but I know he's that old because he was roping in the seas when I was still roping, you know.
Makes you wonder how many times we're going to be able to watch him rope at the Ben Johson anymore.
Well,
you know?
the way he ropes, I imagine quite a while.
It's looking like it. He's like fine wine. The older he gets, the better he gets. It's the dangest thing.
He ropes just about as good as a guy can rope. And 4th was Chad Mathis.
I tell you what, that's a big old, tall, long, lanky guy. He got in through the qualifier, Jimbo, that they had in Claremore, and he pulled a 4th place out of the deal.
And he was from, according to this, Morristown, Arizona.
He's moved around a little bit. That's just where he's hanging his hat now.
Right.
I think he's originally, possibly, I'm thinking around from Stigler, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Then he moved to Texas. Now I believe he is out in the Arizona's territories.
Well, you can rope all year out there.
That's right. You can show it showed.
Yeah.
He's been roping all year out there too.
And then Cody, Pawhuska's own Connor McNeil, won 5th.
That's right.
And boy, he roped good. He was 14 on his first year, and then 25, and then 14 and 13. If he hadn't been 25, he'd have just been 15 on his second year. He'd have won the whole roping.
Yeah, that first run he made was good too. He was a long ways down the pin on that 14. That's one of the few runs I got to watch, Jimbo.
Right. Yeah, he really roped solid, and he comes, of course, from a great family here in the Pawhuska area. Grandfather Ellis Thomas.
He's a good. His
good
grandfather
kid.
was a good guy.
Yeah,
I did a
great
lot
guy.
of business with him, and
Yeah.
he was a big steer open fan too.
Sure he was.
You know, he was smiling down just watching Connor roping this deal.
Yeah. It was great. Like I say, they're a great family. And then 6th was John Bland. He furnished cattle, didn't he?
Yeah, and you know, he popped his shoulder out of socket on his last
seen
steer and went ahead and tied it. How did he tie that steer with his shoulder out of socket?
I didn't know what had happened to him. He was right in front of us, and I knew he was hurt. He was really hurting. But then when he got off, somebody helped him pop it back in. Yeah, that has to be painful. I don't know how you'd go ahead, and I'd be wanting to just.
Yeah, I don't know how he went ahead and tied that steer.
Come
with
get me.
shoulder
Just think about tying
dangling
my
there
steer.
out of its
Of course, he
socket.
was in the average. He was sitting good in the average.
Well, he pulled out a little money.
Yeah.
He pulled out a little money. Who won the go rounds, Jimbo? Let's look at that real quick. Did you have them marked down?
No, I probably don't have them marked. But that Logan Curry won 2 of them. You know, he won the short go and the 3rd go around. And I think Rocky Cole Patterson won a go around, I believe.
There was over $42,000 up for grabs at the steer open, Jimbo.
Oh, that was a good one. And it's PRCA approved.
$5,000 saddle they got. Buckle, tie and dummy. Whole complete champions package. You know, with all the added money given out, every check given out, and their prizes, we give away well over $100,000 right here in Pawhuska during Ben Johson days to cowboys and cowgirls.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money for a
For a
town
Western event, you
for
know.
a town of 3,500 people to pay
Right.
out
I know.
over a
It
weekend
really
for
is.
sure.
And that's why they'll be back next year, for sure.
And I want to take this time real quick while we're here, Jimbo. I want to thank the committee that helped me, Pat Lyons, the Z-Bells, the Davises, and Johnny Kelly. Thank you guys. Anna from right here at the museum, she did a great job selling advertisements for the program and get us some sponsors. Thank you, Anna. And our in-house graphic girl, Joe Scholl, she nailed it. And I just want to really thank the whole committee. It was a real group effort. It was a real community effort to bring this to town. And, me and Jimbo, we got pretty big announcement coming up, actually. This really going to be a big addition to the weekend. It's going to be a major addition to the weekend, and we got an announcement coming up. I just don't know. I'm not quite ready to announce it today. Are you, Jimbo?
No. We'll keep it under hat a little bit longer, but stay tuned.
We're working on something big, and everybody's really going to like it, I think.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And also, your songwriting career, how's that coming along, Jimbo?
Well, pretty good. Pretty good. We got some CDs here at the museum.
You're not singing on the CD, are you?
No, thank God, no.
You're not even singing any backup or nothing?
No, nothing.
You playing the triangle?
No, not even
Spoon?
Yeah. I just put them lyrics to it. I've got 2 songs on there. And also the Ballad of Ben Johson. All you Ben Johson fans, you've got to have the Ballad of Ben Johson CD.
So it's available on the Ben Johson Cowboy Museum website, this CD. And it's available right here in the store. You can call and order it right through the store. I don't know the telephone number here. Just look it up, Ben Johson Museum in Pawhuska.
Yep. You bet. Got to get that.
We'll get it to you. It's got 2 of Jimbo's original songs on it. They got published by a real band of musicians. And I tell you what, his favorite song is different than my favorite song. So I like one of them better that he wrote, and he likes the other one better that he wrote. So that's a good testament to him. Somebody likes his other one. It's me. I love that other one. I catch myself humming it all the time.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, Jimbo, what else we got for him today?
Oh, I don't know. Just I hope if they didn't make it this year that they'll sure come next year because it's going to be bigger and better. I can't believe the way it's grown. And just, what's it been, 3 or 4 years for Ben Johson Day?
It has been. It was just, we already had a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
We had the roping going on. We had the Uncorked Already going on event and the Cattleman's Tour and Luncheon.
Right.
We just added a lot more to it.
Right. I know.
So it's a great big weekend. If you can't find a room next year in Pawhuska, just make plans. Bring your camper trailer. We got a spot for about 300 campers out there, and it's going to be a great time. Next year in Pawhuska, it's going to be bigger and better. Jimbo heard some of the people they were talking to about getting some pretty big names and as far as bands in. And like I said, me and Jimbo, we got a great big announcement for that weekend next year. It's going to be coming up soon.
Oh, yeah. This deal, I just, the sky's the limit for this weekend, for that particular weekend, or whole week, actually, next year.
Yep, there's more than you can do. You can't do everything, so you need to come multiple years so you can experience every single event that we got going on right here at Ben Johson Days in Pawhuska. And, we'll see everybody next year that wasn't there this year, and we'll see everybody next year that was there this year.
I'm sure everybody here this year will be back next year because it was great.
All right. Well, Jimbo, it's been a good one.
Another good one.
Clay Long, congratulations, champion of the 69th annual Ben Johson Memorial Steer Roping. Good roping, man.
Yeah, you roped good. Good black horse, too.
I talked to him on the phone today, Jimbo, because we were going to try to get a sound bite from him. He's actually on his way from Prineville, Oregon to somewhere in South Dakota, steer roping. He's making a push to make the national finals. So,
and he was just here Sunday.
He was just here Sunday. Now he's in Oregon.
I didn't even know you could get there from here.
That's a long, long, long drive. Then he's going back to there, and then from there he's going to Pecos, Texas. From Pecos, Texas, he's going to Prescott, Arizona, and then on to Belfouche, South Dakota. So he's got a busy couple weeks ahead of him. And Clay Long, good luck.
See you at the national finals, probably.
You're part of Pawhuska history now, man. All right, everybody. This has been another edition of the Cowboys of the Osage podcast. Hey, we'll see y'all next week. Be sure and like and share. Sure means a lot to me and Jimbo.
Yes.
See y'all.
Bye.
told stories like long lost friends. Rodeos and late night bends. History before our time. Round pens and pasture rides. Cowboys of the Osage.